Hello everyone, welcome aboard. This is Too Far Flying and we are flying Delta Flight 1735 from New Orleans to Atlanta today. We are flying the ToLiss Airbus A321. As you can see right in front of you, it's being loaded up as we speak. So perfect timing for us to start and do our flight briefing. After we're done with the flight briefing, we'll set up the airplane, taxi out, do our takeoff, flight departure, which there isn't actually. We'll fly en route all the way over to Atlanta, the arrival, approach, and landing in Atlanta. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Alright, it seems as though the Navicraft has shut down. There it is again. Alright. There we go. So we are gonna first start our route briefing, and I'm gonna use Navicraft charts for this. So you can see we have our route up here. We are gonna be starting up in New Orleans, flying out, short en route leg, flying the arrival, and then doing an ILS in Atlanta. We are expecting this flight time to be about an hour and 20 minutes. And yeah, let's get briefing. So we will start at the terminal here, taxi out to runway 29, fly our departure, and we'll fly out, intercept this direct to the route, which starts at Greenco VOR, and then we'll fly the route onto the Hobbit to arrival, starting at Shire, going in to Atlanta, and then flying this part, going in for a ILS on runway 27 right, starting at UU, and then flying the approach, landing on 27 right, taxiing to Concourse B, I think that we're gonna take. So that's basically our route briefing. As simple as that. Short little flight. No real special routing that we have to pay attention to. But weather-wise, it's gonna be interesting. So let's start with our weather briefing now. So I'm using Aviation Weather Center, which is the official weather briefing tool that US-based pilots can use. It's free to use, whoever wants to use it, but it's most accurate if you want to use it for the US. And we will start with any SIGMET. So the SIGMET plot gives no SIGMETs valid. It's giving IFR airmets for the area in between, but we're gonna not have any of that barely though, so it might be worth paying attention to that we have an approach that can get us low enough if we need to. Then weather-wise, we're starting off in New Orleans. We actually want the today weather. Looks like there's a small hole in the rain in New Orleans, but we're gonna be flying through some rain through a front. It's a occluded front. It's gonna create some weather, so we'll have to watch out for any thunderstorms in the area. And then up to Atlanta, it looks like it's getting clear. Radar-wise, we can see New Orleans is down here. There's a lot of moisture depicted on the radar. So weather-wise, there's a lot of energy in the air that can be used, so we can have thunderstorms all the way up to Atlanta as well. So we're gonna have to have our weather radar on for sure and pay attention to not fly through any severe weather. That is our local briefing done. Let's get the METARs for the airports and the forecast as well. So I'm using the METAR tool here, including the forecast. Currently wind calm, 2.5 miles, heavy rain and mist in New Orleans, but 2.5 miles is still enough for a takeoff to be performed. Broken at 400, which is also still safe. Since we're IFR, it's all fine, and the forecast shows that this was gonna be happening. In Atlanta, we are currently experiencing 2705 knots, 10 miles or more, broken 4600. So the clouds are higher there, that's fine. Forecast light rain for, let's see, for when? Today actually, light rain. And later today, showers in the vicinity of the airport. That might also still be applicable. That is in 2 hours, I think, yeah. Alright, so that's enough weather briefing. I think we know what we're getting into. It's just a flight sim, so it will be very safe. However, it's always nice to know what you're gonna fly through. Alright, welcome back on board of our Airbus A321 Neo. No, it's not a Neo. Okay, I've been mistaken because I've flown the Neo the last 2 flights. If you want to go check those out, you're more than welcome to. The videos are up on my channel. This is the standard old A321 since Delta doesn't have a new one yet. It did order them, but they're not delivered yet at the time of this video. So let's take a look at what stage we are. Everything is already set up to get us done. Starting our APU is the next step in our pre-flight procedure. So that's what we're going to do. First, I'm going to close the doors since we are all actually ready for pushback then, and we are all loaded up. So doors will be closed, ground crew can be dismissed. They're all dismissed. Then we'll start our APU. So we'll go APU master on. Then APU flap will open and we will go select our pushback. Let's get the airport diagram up as well, that we know how we want to be pushed back. That is a hotel, so we want to get pushed back in that direction.
Round to cockpit, plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
Alright, we'll call him when we are ready for pushback. By now the APU flap is open, we can press start. APU will now start. Then we will wait for it to light up and I'll show you from the outside. Alright, APU is spooling up. APU is available, we'll go APU bleed on. Now we will select external power off in our display, in our EFP there. And then APU start is complete. Then next step is to prepare for pushback. So we will turn our beacon light on, confirm all doors are closed, and we will call our pushback truck. So that's cockpit to ground, ready for pushback.
Ground to cockpit, tow is driving up.
Roger. Our pushback truck should, there it is, it's driving up. Let's actually hide these because I don't want them anymore. There it is. It's not really realistic that they end up lingering behind the airplane whilst we're going to be pushed back in that direction. You can see the reflection of the pushback truck lights in the window there.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
Roger. Connect if you wish. I don't know why I said that. However, they are going to connect their pushback truck now. Which also means that it's going to lift up our nose wheel. We'll go up a little higher soon. There it is. You see our nose wheel being lifted up. In the meanwhile, I'm going to get my airport diagram here.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Alright, first to release the parking brake.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Roger, starting number 2, then number 1. Alright, engine start, engine mode selector to ignition start. Page is checked, we have our APU bleed is on. Then we can go starting engine 2. Starter valve, master on, starter valve is open. And 2 is increasing. Ignition. There's fuel flow and light off. N1 spooling up, increasing, and we are waiting for it to reach 20 and N2 to reach 60. At 50, our starter valve is going to close. So there's 50, starter valve is closed. And engine is stable, starting number 1. So going number 1, starter on. Starter valve is open, N2 is increasing.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Parking brake set.
Disconnecting
Engine
tow.
stable.
Stand by.
After start checklist. Engine mode selector normal. APU bleed off. Rudder trim is 0. Pitch trim goes to down 1.5. We'll go over to hand signals. Down 1.5. Anti-icing, let's see the temperature. We are going to leave anti-icing on because we're going to fly in the clouds pretty shortly
ToW is
after.
disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal will be on the right. We'll see you next time and have a great flight.
Looking for you on the right. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Alright. Now our pushback guy is going to drive out. We want to wait until we see... by this time we can also switch off the APU. And we want to wait until we see his pin until we start moving flight controls. There's the pin. Okay. Then we are gonna go speed brake is armed, flaps 2. Alright, and we'll go wing anti-ice on as well. After start, checklist is completed. Before taxi checklist, we have gotten our taxi clearance, let's say, because we're not going to use any ATC. Let's say we're going to taxi Hotel Golf Sierra, hold short at Sierra. So that's the plan. Now we'll go nose light to taxi, parking brake off, timer started, and we can go. As we first start moving, brakes are checked. Next, the first officer can check his brakes as well, but he's not there, so that can be skipped. Flight controls, so we'll go flight controls page, forward, aft, neutral checked, left, right, neutral checked, rudder left, rudder right, neutral checked. Flight controls are free and correct. We want to check out, we want to go on golf here. Yeah, I'll turn on my wipers. Alright. Flight control check has been completed. Flight mode demonstrator is on climb and nav. We can turn our weather radar on for system 1. And we want to make a right for the runway here. We'll go auto brakes max in case of a rejected takeoff. So, cabin checked, cabin is ready. Engine mode selector goes to ignition start. And takeoff config normal. Takeoff no blue. And there's a hold short of runway 29. Very short taxi here in New Orleans. We're gonna take off runway 29. First hold short, parking brake set. Let me disable X checklist real quick. There it is, disabled. Perfect. Alright. Before takeoff checklist. Wheel temps are checked. Takeoff clearance, let's say that it is obtained. Approach is clear, runway is clear. Engine mode selector is ignition start. Advise cabin crew. Packs are set, lights, runway turn off, landing lights, and nose light to takeoff. Strobe on. Transponder TAR and our parking brake is released, so we can go. Weather radar is on before takeoff checklist is completed. You have a very slight crosswind here, but it's a very slight wind, so nothing to really worry about. Get aligned with runway 29. Okay, takeoff. Let the engines stabilize at 50% N1. Engines are stable. Manflex 39, SRS, runway and auto thrust blue. .100 knots. V1 rotate. Positive rate, gear up. Now. Oh. We passed 400. There's 1000. We go flaps 1. Lever thrust climb, auto thrust. And we can turn our wiper off. After takeoff checklist, lights are set, spoilers disarmed. Following the flight directors here for a nice climb up to flight level 350. Approaching S speed, the point at which we would go flaps up. Speed is checked, flaps up. Alright. Nicely in our climb now. do our rest of the after takeoff checklist. APU is off. We'll go mission engine mode to normal, and anti-ice is as required. I must have set up the transition level wrong, because we are getting a QNH warning here. Transition altitude should be 18,000 feet here in the US, so not too worried about that. Might want to change it quickly though, if I still can. No, we can't. It's set, so we'll just leave it like this. I will go autopilot 1 on AP1. It's gonna keep blinking at us until we pass 18,000 when I set my altimeters to the proper standard power setting. And we'll go plan back to arc mode, increase the range. I can actually see something. You can actually already see our arrival. There's 10,000. Landing lights off. Seatbelt signs off. And the skies are clear, so we'll go anti-icing off. A bit more climb rate here. So what you just saw is the clouds re-rendering as we got a weather update. See if it didn't mess with our airspeed or anything. No, we're good. At our speed, we're climbing at our climb rate. We're waiting for 18,000 feet to go standard. Look what the airplane has to say. As the airplane is already doing, I would like to thank you all very much for watching. Are we showing any weather info? Oh, we should have been. It was on. I recycled it, but now it's showing weather all. So, okay. The airplane is climbing nicely. I'll do a regular check here. See that everything is within limits. Alright, we are approaching 18,000 feet. Let's go. Standard on all three is set. As we are getting closer to the next waypoint, our top of climb becomes invisible. And actually, our top of climb is the start of the arrival into Atlanta. So this is because it's a really short flight, and our top of descent won't be far behind. Yeah, you can see we have a short leg at our cruising altitude here. However, winds being the way that they are, it's definitely worth it to get up here and shave some time and fuel off this flight. Alright, since there's nothing really going on right now, I will take a short break and I will be back. See you in a few seconds. for those of you who are just joining us, welcome aboard flight. It's 17:35 with service to Atlanta. We are just passing 27,500 feet and about to cross over Golf Charlie Victor waypoint. Once we get to Golf Charlie Victor, I am going to do a quick fuel check and a routine cruise check to get situated with our airplane. As I am currently preparing for that, I am pulling up the flight plan that tells me that at Golf Charlie Victor Vortec I should have 8.5 tons of fuel on board. And looking at this now, we are currently at 8.2, so I'm expecting to be about 0.3 under. Now, for reference, I will be using my trusty yellow post-it notes again. Get rid of the old one to get a good fuel check reading going on. I will write down our fuel score, which is the difference between the estimated and our actual, and we will compare this and look at the trends if we have any future readings as well. However, since this flight is so short, I doubt we're going to get any useful data out of it. Currently 10 miles from Golf Charlie Victor, passing 28,500 feet. Climbing up nicely towards, towards our cruising flight level of flight level 350. Anyone watching, I hope that you are having a pleasant day and are enjoying your flight aboard Delta Flight 1735 with your pilot 24 flying in the flight deck. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is 24 Flying, still on board Delta Flight 1735 with service to Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport. We are about to level off at flight level 350, which means that I will do my level off check really quickly. And most importantly, start planning for our arrival into Atlanta, since our top of descent is getting pretty close now. There is Altstar Mach and Alt Cruise. Now we will set our TCAS to below. Set to below. Go weather radar to 0 degrees. And we will start preparing for our descent. As you can see, we're 82 miles from our top of descent. So we'll go check out the pressure page. Landing elevation is auto. It's checked. Our arrival. Let's check out the Atlanta weather. Winds 2705 knots still. Clouds are still the same. No update, so we will land runway 27 right, flying the ILS via the Hobbit 2 arrival, Shire transition, and then to the ILS via UU initial approach fix. That looks correct. Then we will go performance, descent, check that it's managed, and then approach and enter our destination data. So Atlanta altimeter is 29908. Let's give it 2990. Oh, decimal 908. Entered here. Temperature is 8 Celsius. Wind 2705 knots /5. Transition flight level 180, that's correct. We are going to be flying, it's 4600 broken, so we can do the Cat 1 ILS approach. Oh, it's only a Cat 1 anyway, displayed. So we're flying the Cat 1 up to 1185 altitude, so 1185 in our MDA. Config full, and these speeds are selected. Approach data is entered. We'll go into the go around page. Our missed approach altitude is 4000 feet, so 4000 feet. I will enter this in my engine out acceleration altitude. That is set. Then we'll go back. Performance 62 miles from our top of descent. We will select. We'll check out the runway. We're gonna use auto brake low because it's a very long runway. Auto brake low is selected. Anti-icing with 8 degrees. Currently it is definitely cold since we're high up. There's gonna be broken clouds, so we're gonna set up anti-icing once we get in our descent. We don't need it just right now. I will definitely first start with engine anti-ice. Then let's start with looking at our descent altitude that we want to descend to. Looks like it's 12,000. And then we want UU at 7,000. So we will select 7,000 in just a bit once we get a bit closer. At about 20 miles from our top of descent, I will select 7,000 in my mode control panel. And when we get a little closer, then maybe 10 miles, 5 miles, we'll start our descent. Alright, we are approaching our top of descent. I'm gonna select 7000 in my altitude pre-selector of the mode control panel here. 7000. Go increase the range a bit and activate constraint mode. And alright, we will start our descent by pulling altitude button into manage the descent. So we have descent and mark activated now. Airplane will slow down to idle thrust and we will start our descent. Now we are still a little below the profile that it calculated, so we will see this green dot move down and then we will intercept it because the green dot represents the descent profile that the flight management and guidance system has calculated for us since we deployed our descent 6 miles before we had our optimum top of descent. It's gonna be like this. Alright, and we are in our standard arrival now. We just passed Bilbo and we will now go next to Baggins, which we need to pass at our above flight level 240, which will be no problem. We now just intercepted our descent profile, as you can see here, and we're gonna manage our speed within the magenta area. By we're gonna do that by using speed brakes. I was in the middle of explaining that to you. Okay. As we are starting as we are in our descent now, I will fasten seatbelt sign, turn that on, get the passengers in their seats for safety. And I will now also get rid of this. Then I can show you everything here. So I'm gonna load up the airport plate, load up the arrival, which is Hobbit 2, there it is, and the approach, which is ILS 27 right. As we'll go to the arrival chart, and you can see that we are currently right there. Alright, we are nicely in our descent down to Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson on board flight 1735, operated by Delta Airlines. There's really nothing much to do until we get down lower, but just for safety reasons, let's go brief our approach quickly. So we're going to be flying the ILS runway 27 right in Atlanta Hartsfield Jackson. MSA for the airfield is 3100, 111.3 and 275 should be set in our radio navigation here. 111.3 and 274 is what the database tells me, which is close enough. It's set up in here. Our minimas are gonna be 1185, which I have set up in the MDA. We need 3/4 of a mile of of a visibility, and the METAR says we have 10 or more, so no approach ban. And our missed approach is gonna be as published right here, or as directed, and the published missed is climb to 1400, climbing left turn to 4000 outbound on this radial, and then up to that intersection and hold, which we can see right there, and it's programmed in the flight management system as well. So our approach briefing is completed. Alright, next point on the arrival is smog at 17,000 or above, which we are. Now we are 7 miles away. Okay, as we are approaching 18,000 feet, I'm gonna check what my altimeter should be. Atlanta altimeter is 29908. So let's already set this up. The rule is that you have to set it up before you go through. So it's all set on all three. There are some clouds here, so we'll go engine anti-icing on and wing anti-icing on. But it's still cold enough to need anti-icing. Get weather radar down tilt of 5, since I didn't do that earlier. Then we have a good idea of the weather that we can be encountering. Next waypoint is Hobbit, which we want to be at 14,000 or above, which we are. Alright, we are nicely stable on the approach here. Everything looking neat and tidy, just the way you need it here. There's no rain in Atlanta. No rain in Atlanta, so we can leave ignitions to normal. Alright. And we're gonna be taking the southern route in here. All the way up to you. You. Alright, passing through flight level. Correction, 15,000 feet. Yeah, looking nicely actually. Alright, approaching Ansel. We want to be at 12,000 and we should be almost at 12,000 when we get there. I have faith in this airplane to do what it's told. Okay. We should be good, plus or minus 100. As long as we can maintain that, happy. Okay, we can start seeing the ground through these clouds. We have 1.5 miles to descend, another 200 feet, and look at that, it made it. 12,000 exactly. And we should level off now. Yep, the aircraft is leveling off. End of the star. Not really yet though. We still have this section. This still counts as the standard arrival, technically. Alright. Airplane is still in descent mode since we have set 7,000, which we need to have at UU, our initial approach fix. And we're going to be flying Eagle up down here. Once we pass the beam the airport, I'll activate the approach phase, which will indicate to the airplane that we want to fly slowly, that we can start configuring, and that we are ready to intentionally get this airplane to the ground. Oh. Alright, we are in true IMC. So we're actually the entire flight, we're just looking here, we're not looking outside if we're flying. In terms of a flying part, and when you're in IMC, you clearly find out why that is, because you can't see anything. Check our temperature, it's still in icing range, so we want to leave that on. And since we're not gonna be descending soon, we'll deploy those landing lights. Soon to start our turn downwind in about 2 miles. Right now we can see the Atlanta airport, and it's gone again because X-Plane did a weather update. Now you can just see it through the clouds maybe. It sure is an interesting one to fly. In real life you would be flying through busy airspace. One of the busiest in the world, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, we're on our downwind leg for our landing. Let's make it approach phase activated. Airplane will start slowing down and we will start configuring to land. Slowing down will also make this 180-degree turn more smoothly. Then we can nicely intercept our localizer and our glide slope. But first only localizer, then we will expect to intercept the glide slope shortly after, once we pass Oster. As soon as the speed drops below the orange marker here, we are flap safe, so we'll go speed is checked, flaps 1. And now we restarted our descent down to 7,000, which we should end up there. I'm ready to set 6,000 and then 5, 4 and then 2,700, which are the steps in our descent, as you can see right here. Alright, we're coming up on 10,000. Let's alert the cabin. Landing lights are on, constraint is active, and landing systems on both. So it might look like I did flaps a little soon. However, I definitely don't want to get flaps late, since that caused me a go around already twice now, having too much energy. We're still in descent mode. I don't know why we're level here. Now we're gently descending again. Strange. Huh. Okay, we are about to start our turn onto final. So once we start our turn, I'm gonna arm localizer. There's our turn. We'll go localizer armed. Localizer is armed. Alright. I'm ready to select 6,000. And yeah, why not? Let's go ahead and disconnect the autopilot. Fly manually. Alright. We are leveling off. Don't want to go below my altitude. There's MCAP, so we can start our descent to 6,000. Lodestar. Localizer. We're slightly off, but I'm flying the flight director. Maassen next, so 5,000. We can go to 4,000 now. Continue our descent. Coming up a little fast. Alt star. Altitude. Select 2700. Descent. Okay, that's our final descent. We'll go approach armed. Glide slope is armed. And let's get on the flight director, gets flaps 2 in. So speed is checked, flaps 2, and gear down. Glide star now, which we shouldn't have yet, but we're just gonna
2,500.
checked, manage our descent. At 2,000 we'll go flaps 3. Get cabin ready.
2,000.
Spoilers are armed. Flaps 3 speed is checked. Now leveling off 2700, re-intercepting the glide slope. Now we'll go speed is checked, flaps full. Speed is still managed. Glide slope, so we can go. Missed approach altitude is 4,000. Let that set up. Continue on flying our approach. Getting back on that glide because we're slightly high. And landing no blue. We are stable and correcting for that glide slope, continuing.
500. 400. 300. 200.
Glide slope.
Your visual.
Glide.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. Retard. 10. 5.
Ah, okay. Was a pretty long landing. Reversers. Oh. Let's keep that runway center line. Don't know why it's turning too much to the right. Reversers idle. And disengage. Auto brake to manual braking. And we can vacate here. Alright, let's taxi in. Concourse B is where we're going, is there. I'm not too happy about that landing. If you really want to see a good landing, you should watch my my video that I did yesterday. It's called Butter Landing, so you'll find out which one I'm talking about pretty easily. Get those flaps up and the rest of the after landing checks. So strobes to auto, landing lights off, runway turn-offs off, those to taxi. Engine mode is normal, weather radar off. Transponder to transponder. And we have our flaps already up. Let's start the APU. And let's take this one. And let's also check our wheel temperatures. Let's get our brake fan on. And using our cheat cam to guide ourselves in, since we don't have any help here. Alright, and let's stop right. Just stopped a bit too quickly. Okay, on the first line. There it is. Parking brake is set, anti-icing off, APU bleed on, and we can switch off engine 2 and 1. Exterior lights. Oh, I didn't start my APU. Alright, that makes sense. Let's get this in here. Okay, I messed up a little. I didn't start my APU before switching my engines off. Alright. Yeah, then let's just turn everything off anyway. Get the passengers out of their seats. Turn my fuel pumps off. Transponder standby and off. Weather radar is already off. And we are ready to get everyone out of their airplane, so get some ground crew around. And I would like to thank you all very much for watching. Ah no, I forgot something. Let's watch some replays. Alright, of my not too good landing. Before I let you go, I want to take a quick look at what my landing looked like. Alright. Looking pretty stable so far. Bit of wing movement that was unnecessary. Now you'll see the world's longest float. Not really, but it's a pretty long float and I landed rather long. As you can see. And then all the issues start with the controls. Alright, let's view this from another angle. So that was definitely a firm landing. Looks like the bug isn't happening today. No. Fine. I wish I could say that was better, but it's fine. Definitely that ground control, something is wrong. I'm going to have to sort that out because it's giving me hard left rudder sometimes when I'm having rudder neutral, and then I have to go through the full motions and then they will reset. Something that I have to look into. There is the landing. And one more look from the outside. Or as I like to call it, Stefan Drury Cam. It's a great YouTuber, go watch his videos. They are way more interesting than mine, to be honest. Westfield Jackson there. All right. That was it. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. Do subscribe to get alerted when I upload this stuff and when I go live, because all of this is live at first. And please leave a like so I know that you liked it, and whatever, let me know if you didn't like it too, and share it with one of your friends, or if you feel like, share it with your entire family if you want them to see this too. Well, I hope you really enjoyed watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye bye.